Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the third installment of Heru, episode 12. This will be the final installment of the Heru series and of the Raising of the Jedi series. And then we'll be able to move forward into some of the higher realms. We'll be moving into Herukti or Herukuhuti, which is the next spiritual level. Okay, so we're still here in Heru, and Heru, as you know, is about coming of age. And when we think about coming of age, we look at the tree of life, and we can recall in past episodes where we were dealing with the developmental evolution of the human being, of the soul, as it enters here into physicality. And we can see that here at the base of the tree. That would be 0 to 6 years old, okay, and all of its levels. And then we have 6 to 12 years old, then 12 to 18, and then 18 to 24. So we're at that level of adulthood here in episode 12, installment 3, and we're going to actually start applying some things now. We're going to apply them with intention and with deliberance. Okay, when we talk about consciousness, we have to recognize that consciousness is everything from the very bottom of that tree all the way up. Okay, the difference is there are levels. So that's the question: what level are we at when it comes to consciousness and being able to modulate our consciousness on demand? Okay, so this is why we're here. This particular episode is inspired by Brother Sanchez. I've been wondering how exactly can this be made relevant to people who could care less about spirituality. Okay, and some of the latest episodes Brother Sanchez has been presenting are the hard truths about our situation here in the world at this present time. As we've entered into the new age of Aquarius, there's a lot of fear that is being stirred up among people of various levels of consciousness. Okay, but what we're here to do now is to establish a way of actually dissipating the fear so that we can actually emanate that confidence that would allow others who may be in that state of fear to kind of shake loose of their fears due to our presence here on the earth plane. Okay, exercising conscious regulation of consciousness. All right, so we're going to go through everything that we need to know in order to face the challenges that are coming and face them with confidence and boldness and positivity, because as long as we're able to have knowledge, then fear is going to go away as long as we act upon it. Okay, knowledge that is not acted upon is just vanity. Okay, remember those things. Knowledge unacted is vanity. We know that that's here where Heru. Okay, and we have not only vanity, but we have egotism. That's here at Sebek. Okay, so these are some things to keep in mind, and I'm really happy and thrilled to be able to present this information. We're going to present the math, the MAAT, and we're going to apply the rubber to the road. We're going to be able to exemplify, demonstrate truth, because truth is something that is found everywhere. Okay, there's an African proverb that says truth is yesterday as today and tomorrow as today. Okay, meaning truth is something, is a constant phenomena, and it's ubiquitous, it's found everywhere. So if we can't apply a concept to nature, it's probably not true. I can pretty much say that it is not true if you cannot apply it to nature. Okay, because nature is the response to the creator. Okay, it is the response to the truth of consciousness. All right. Okay, so we can go forward. We're going to go to the latest graphic that I've been able to come forward with, thanks to the ancestors. And I truly believe that the ancestors are working with both myself and Brother Sanchez in ways that are going to bring you information that you can use and that can change your life. All right, so we're going to do this without fear, and this is how we do it. We take it from the root. Okay, you see the root chakra in red, and all of the chakras, actually, well, most of the chakras. This is not, by the way, an anatomically correct depiction of the spinal cord. I don't have all 30, or the spinal column. I don't have all 33 vertebrae in place, but I'm giving you the proportions and the relative positions of the chakras as we would be able to demonstrate and utilize for our purposes here. All right. So as you can see, we have a 1, 2, and 3. These are the activities that we must master in order to start the process of doing our spiritual practice. Okay, remember, spirit is the sublimated water that is found in our air. That water is charged by all of the luminaries. Okay, that's the sun, moon, stars, and the ones that are not seen. Okay, those heavenly bodies that are not seen. So we have to recognize that whenever we're breathing in, if we are mindful of the seasons and of the celestial events, we know what types of energies that we're going to be adding to ourselves. Okay, now the real crime is to be ignorant when you have information available to you. Okay, but we're going to dismiss the ignorance, and we're going to come into actual practical knowledge. Okay, so when we are we want to keep in mind that when we're utilizing the body, okay, see, the body is a necessary instrument that is used to compress the air or the spirit such that our soul can grow. Being that they're charged by the soul is charged by the luminaries, or the spirit is charged by the luminaries, it's our activity with our bodies, with the proper timing, the proper holds, the proper inhalation, exhalation sequence, okay, and spacing, okay. That's what creates the frequency. That's what affects our soul, and our soul affects the nervous system, which affects our ability to have levels and degrees of consciousness on demand. All right, so hopefully that makes perfect sense. I'm bringing you everything that I can give you, from audio to visual to measurement, mathematics, so that you can see the connectivity. It's when we have gaps in information that we kind of lose the true essence and the relevance of what meditation is and what yoga is. But when we bring forward the linguistics, the etymology, mathematics, and put them all together, the geometry, put them all together, and then look at the physiology, the anatomical physiology. We have the light body and the gross material body. That's when we have something tangible. We can test it then. We can apply it to nature then. Okay, that's where we're going. All right, here we go. Welcome to the age of Aquarius. All right, so the Kali Yuga is a shallow breath that when the individual is going through the shallow breath without regulating it, they are steeped in fear, okay? And so there's no way that you can activate any other chakra that has a higher level of consciousness until you start getting hold of the animal that's at the base of the spine. Getting hold of that serpent and riding the serpent upward and affecting the amplitude or amplification of the frequency as it rises. Okay. As you can see, I have the symbols. We have the ancient Sanskrit. We have also the omega symbol, the so-called Greek symbol, which is actually taken from the Kemetic um, cartouche-like glyph that we see in most hieroglyphic paintings and wall reliefs. So we have Om, Omega, and Ohms. These all carry the sound of that meditative practice of Om. Now here, the Omega symbol is also used in our electrical sciences. We would see that symbol that's relating to impedance and resistance, and we'll be able to take a look at how that works with the human body. Impedance is pretty much when there's a transfer or transfer of energy through the current, the flow of current through a material, which in our case, being human beings, that would be the tissue of the heart. It is actually a resistant force that actually kicks up heat. Okay, that's resistance, but it's the combination of heat and the capacity of that material to retain or to actually embody the energy itself. So in essence, the heart becomes enlivened. Okay, when you have those things happening. Okay, same thing happened with every tissue in our body when we're able to do the meditative holds. Okay, and we'll be able to take a look at the holds that are going to be at the top of this cartouche. The holds are what's going to actually compress the air, the charged air, and actually transfer that charge into the tissues of the heart and of all of the other cellular tissues, the blood that is going to be circulated throughout the body. This is how we energize ourselves. We also energize through sun gazing. So if you're a sun gazer, you can use the techniques to actually direct the consciousness through the eyes and through the breath, okay, through the skin, okay. So all of these things are at play. We have a dynamic instrument. We just have to learn how to use it. We need to know the why, behind everything that we have, so that we can actually function properly to our full capacity. And believe you me, our children will be able to have that capacity to walk as the creator within their tiny bodies, and they'll be able to grow into adulthood being that creator, okay, in their uniqueness. See, that's how it works. This is how you have the Christ within. Notice too that where there are chakras, these are the energy centers. The energy centers themselves actually are in place of specific organs. Okay, so for example, the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, is linked with the genitalia and all of the surrounding parts, the tissues that go into the health of the genitalia, and the lower part of the large intestine, the rectal area. So, and even above here, we have the second chakra, which is also attached to the greater portion of the large intestine. The one Higher is the solar plexus, the third chakra, which is in charge of the pancreas, the stomach, um, and parts of the duodenum, parts of the small intestine. So as you can see, all of these levels have their corresponding organs. Okay, and so it's a dynamic interplay. Okay, the energy goes out and it charges up the organs. The organs have on them glands and ductal glands that produce the fluids, the necessary fluids. And when we have that interplay, this is where you become strong. Okay, this is where the strength of the blood comes into play. This is where the the neurologic um, fluids, nerve fluids become energized, and this is when you get the oil that rises and walks on the water, much like in the story of Jesus walking on the water when it's calm. Being able to calm the turbulence is what yoga is about, because life is a turbulent thing, but when you're able to bring the breath under control from the base, from the root, all the way up, then you're able to walk the oils. The oil is able to rise and walk on water. The oil actually floats on water, by the way. Okay, so this is your scripture at work. You know, when you're able to apply it, remember truth, you can apply it to nature. This is the natural body. Okay, so let's see, Psalm 1. Remember Psalm 1, so look that up and know that these are the mechanisms. This is the mechanics of spirituality. Spirit being the breath. Okay, sublimated water charged by the cosmic luminaries with their respective circuits. Now let's take a look at those circuits relative to the yugas. Okay, remember we have four. There are the four yugas that are talked about in the myth, in the Hindi myth. I'm misnaming it, the Hindi, but there's another more accurate descriptive of the culture that developed this system. It's not the Hindu, it's before them. I can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me. But anyway, we have at the base, just like in the base here, this is the same correspondence on the tree of life. The root chakra is the Kali. It's a Kali Yuga, which is known as the Iron Age. Okay, and at the base of the spine, we have the this is where the passion, the heat of passion is. Okay, so this corresponds to the most shallow breathing. Okay, and when it's unconscious, this is where you have problems. But when you're able to get the consciousness involved to regulate it, put it to a sequence, put it to a timing, a rhythm, that's when we have something there. Then we can actually ride the beast up the spine and charge up the other chakras on the way up. Okay, that's the evolution of our soul. Okay, from 0 to 6 years old. Let's see if I can do that. 0 to 6 year old, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 24. All right. So we're going up the tree, and we're going to dispel a lot of the fears for the challenges that we have coming in the near future. Okay, shout out to Brother Sanchez. Thank you so much for revealing the truth and actually helping me to move this forward, because we're going to be the ones that we have to look to. We're going to have to look within ourselves. And that way we're not fooled by what we hear, what we see, but will be influenced by what we know and the stillness of the truth of that knowledge. Okay, that's how we're going to be living the next age, and maybe the next few ages. Okay, if we're successful, when we're successful, that is. All right, so we're going to move back here to the ohm. All right, so we have the ohm, omega, and the ohms. But this is the visual. This is the visual that we're going to use to measure our application of the breathing cycles. Okay, we're going to start merging our breath, which is the microcosm, with the macrocosm. The macrocosm being those yugas that we've talked about here. We have the Kali Yuga at the very bottom. We have the Kali Yuga. We have the Dwapara Yuga, which is known as the Copper Age. So we have the Iron Age, Copper Age. We have the Treta Yuga, which is the Silver Age. And we also have the Satya Yuga. Satya, which is Saturn or Sekert. Sat being like Saturday. Okay, so if we're able to, which is the golden age, by the way, this is the highest level you can reach in those individuated four. Okay, now let's keep in mind that if we were to combine all four, the numbers of all four of the ages, we would come to the Maha Yuga, which is the total effect of all of the cycles and the great year, or the great cosmic breath, as they call it, the cosmic year, or the great year, that every ancient civilized culture has spoken about. Okay, so we're actually 2 days away from one of those cosmic breaths. I think we've entered into the fifth sun, I believe, from the Aztec or the Mayan calendar, as they call it, the fifth sun. But somebody put in the comment section what that new sun is, and we can actually discuss that on some panels, some live panels. Okay, so yeah, so when we do that, we're wanting to when we go up the tree, actually, we're wanting to get to a point where we've mastered the breath enough so that we can do the Maha Yuga, which is a one breath per minute, which is 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out. And I will break down the section where you're actually holding or raising the pelvic floor, and where you're holding. This is where you're actually creating the resistance to transfer the energy into the tissues. The heart pumps that energy into the blood, and the blood circulates throughout the body. Okay, see, this is very dynamic, and this is how you know the effect. This is how you know the effectiveness of meditation and yoga, when you're applying it deliberately with intention. Okay. Let's see. I know I'm leaving something out, but I'm gonna cover it all. Let's see. All right. So there's more. There's so much more I want to cover here. So we can actually go over. This is what I meant to show last time, but I got caught up with the explanations. Remember that app that I was telling you about, Metronome? Metronome is something that I decided to utilize as a rhythm or a pace trainer. It's something that's going to get you involved in doing the counts without having to without having to slip in and out of consciousness. Your body is actually going to do it for you once you train yourself over the course of, say, a week or a couple of weeks. You'll get the hang of it. Now, it's not as far as creating a circuit. It's not so important as far as where you hold, although it is important, but uh, it's not dependent on hyper precision that a metronome would give you. But what it is it's important that you do complete the circuit, okay, within that certain amount of time. All right. So, for example, if I do an inhalation of 30 seconds, which would put us at the midpoint for 1 breath per minute, and then exhale for another 30, that would make a complete circuit. However, I can decide to inhale for 38 seconds. If my lung capacity and my blood will allow that much air in to hold and compress, and then I can release at 50 and then coast on out like that, making a complete 60, a 60-second count. That's what's most important, okay? Another idea as far as the macrocosm is concerned, that along the same lines as that example of the breath, it's not important when you're thinking in terms of an age. It's not important about the precision of the actual constellation star, okay? But it is important where the angle is, okay? Because a star, some people get caught up in the 13th constellation. That's not important. It's the angle at which each sign comes into play, because this keeps you from getting any other signs mixed up with the other ones according to where the angle is in the complete circuit of the sky. So just as we would draw a circle to measure the earth, we draw that same circle for the sky, and we would know, relatively where things are according to the angle and the sign that says, okay, the angle should be somewhere in here. You need to go on and get that, establish your point of reference, and then count your days, or count the cycles, or the positions of the celestial stars, celestial bodies. So let's take a listen to the Kali Yuga rhythm, and I'm going to do a little demonstration of how that would sound. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So with this, we're going to keep listening to that. We can make it synchronized to the breath, to where we're going in, and I'm making it audible so that you can hear, but you're going to try to make it as smooth as possible so that you don't hear it audibly, but you can actually feel the inhalation and exhalation. Within there's a hold. There is a compression, a mini compression, and that compression is going to be happening at the number 2 area here, the lower abdominal, okay? And that's how you start to get a rein on the wild beast, so to speak. You get to tame that beast, and then you be able to ride it to the higher levels. You'd be able to ride that beast to the higher levels so that it can charge up your next chakra center, okay? And so our main objective with raising the pelvic floor when we're doing our meditation is to raise up that energy, and we're trying to collapse those energy signatures or frequencies so that there can be a continuity of energy built up for those organs that are creating fluids that are going to be pumped up the spine. Okay, to rejoin the Father in heaven, as the Bible would describe it. Okay, that's the journey of the prodigal son back home, to meet his father and to gain his inheritance, his great wealth of inheritance. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make this so that we can see how this looks. I'm going to turn around here. We're going to make the rubber meet the road here. All right. Show you how I do things. All right. So what I have is a standard chair, folding chair, and I have a yoga mat. Actually, I have two rolled together, and you can use one or two, whichever one is comfortable for you. And you can actually use it to protect your posture. And remember, whenever you're breathing in, your posture is going to be very key as far as the flow of energy. Okay, we don't want to be meditating leaning forward or leaning too far back, because you'll have to keep adjusting yourself. So what you want to do is raise your shoulders up and back, and then rest your elbows on there. What that does, it creates a force on the yoga mats, and it actually gives support to the lower lumbar, and that feels great, especially when you're trying to relax. Okay. Now, whatever mudra you'd like to use, you can do that comfortably. You can have your hands pressed calmly on your lap, or you can do a mudra like so, which I use regularly to balance the hemispheres of the brain, the left and right hemispheres. And you'd be surprised how effective that is when meditating. Okay, so always keep your posture straight and as erect, making sure that the shoulders are back, and then you relax into it and let the full weight of your shoulders and your elbows rest onto the yoga mat. All right, so remember, we're trying to raise the pelvis floor. We're going to raise the pelvic floor, and we're going to exercise the lower abdominis, that's just below the belly button. And then the third step is to actually push in and up. That creates the compression for the heart region, and that actually pushes the fluids that would be traveling along those pathways of the nervous system, of the spinal cord, going back up the spine and into the cerebral or into the hypothalamus area, across the base of the skull, the Golgotha, and on into the chamber, into the upper room. All right. So this is how it's done. This is where all of the religions have concealed the science of bringing God forward in your life, bringing forth the Christ essence. Those who are Krishnas know that Christ and Krishna are the same. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate it. All right, so we're going to go forward with the Kali Yuga rhythm. I'm going to give the demonstration of that. In, compress, exhale. Okay, so that's how that would be done, and you could do that. You can do that Kali Yuga breathing. Um, you can do that for 18 counts. You can do it for much like on this board. There's a it's called the um, japa yuga. It's where you're able to do um, intellectual or mental exercises. That's when you're establishing patterns or habits, establishing affirmations. If you're wanting to be a certain kind of person, you can do that. If you have mantras that go that are that that are used to help you to develop a certain aspect of your character, you can use that rate of uh, 10800. That's 10,800. You can use it as 108 repetitions. You can use it as 18 or any factor of 18. Okay, so 18, 18, uh, that's 36. You can do it for 36 counts and so forth. So these are things to keep in mind. These are ratios, mathematical ratios that you can apply to your meditative and spiritual practice. Okay? This gives you results as well. So if you do it for a while, allow yourself to observe. You can make a diary, a journal that actually talks about your level or your states of consciousness, your states of awareness. Okay, this way you can prove it to yourself through yourself. All right, don't allow somebody to just tell you something without trying it out and seeing if it actually applies to you. But remember, for every practice, for every yogic practice, you must prepare your temple. You must prepare the body, and that's called becoming a Nazarene, the prepared one. Okay, so just as in the scripture of the wineskin or the parable of the wineskin, where let's say you're practicing um, the the random consumption of food without knowing what the food does for the body or to the body, you can run into issues where you're creating a body that's accustomed to old things. Okay, and if you're accustomed to not going to the bathroom for a week, um, if you're accustomed to sweets, if you're accustomed to alcohol, then your body is going to have difficulty, extreme difficulty in doing these particular spiritual exercises. For one, you would have an overcrowding of toxins that's in the blood, and for two, the tissues themselves would be compromised. The integrity of the tissues are necessary in order to conduct a clear flow of energy which has information on it. Okay, so that has to be taken into consideration. Okay, if you want to um, participate in the raising of the frequencies to effect unity, okay, you have to pay attention to what you're putting into your body. Life begets life. Cooking your food is killing your food, which creates a situation of carcinogenic um, potential. Okay, carcinogens create cancers. Okay, so we want to start moving more to an intake of food that is more raw or uh, vegan based. Okay, that is going to transfer the most life force to your cells, and that's going to keep you young looking for a long period of time. Okay, now the reason why I'm able to say this is because I believe that the proof should be in the pudding. If I look old, and am talking to you about, um, how to maintain your youthfulness, the credibility isn't there. So I'm going to continue to do what I need to do so that I can communicate not just with the mouth, I can communicate with my presence, and you can feel that. Okay, so that's how we all need to become, is to communicate with our walk such that people are inspired and they can test it for themselves and then decide whether or not they have what it takes to continue and let things unfold as they may. All right. So I have more frequencies here that I can do demonstrations with, but know that the Kali Yuga, when you have that under control, okay, when you have that under control, that means that you're able to harness that energy that otherwise would be showing up as nervousness, as that that untamed fear of the unknown. Okay, you probably won't know what's going on, even though you have control over it, but you allow yourself the opportunity to bring that energy up so that it can be utilized to charge other centers that are of a higher nature. Okay, so each chakra center is like a portal or an eye or a lens, if you will. These lenses are actually sources of information that you can get that would actually tell you the complete nature of a situation. And these eyes or portals can give you confidence and strength because there's no mystery anymore. Okay? When there's no mystery, then you can be about doing what your purpose is. You know, if there's a mystery about your purpose here on this plane, then you have the ability. Okay, now you have the ability to find out what that purpose is. Okay, just get the nervousness out, get the unknown, get the fear out of your life by getting in touch and in tune with your breath. Tune up your instrument, prepare your instrument so that the wine skin can match the wine that's coming in. So the parable of the wineskin goes like such. I'm just paraphrasing the idea that if you have an old wineskin and you're pouring in new wine, then the wineskin itself would burst, and not only would you ruin the wineskin, but you would lose that new wine. Okay, so if the new wine is something that you feel is important enough, you want to get your body straight first. Okay, get the body straight. That's what that first chakra is all about, by the way. Okay, it's the earth chakra, which is physicality. So you have to have your health in tune before you do spiritual work. Okay, and it's a work of joy. I mean, it's just like doing art. You know, when you love what you're doing, it's not really that hard labor that you associate with what work is. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at, let's see, yes, the next one, which is Balarama. It's not one of the four of the Yugas, but it is an essential that leads to the next phases, the next higher phases. And I'm going to tap into the rhythm. No, that's the Kali Yuga. I'm going to tap into the rhythm real quick of the Balarama. Okay, and I have something to share with you about the Balarama. Go to the library here, song library, Balarama Yuga. Here we go. Okay, let's take a listen to this, and I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to see if you can see everything that I'm doing here. Okay, so the Balarama Yuga is 3 seconds, 3.3 seconds. That's the exact divvying, but remember that it's approximately 3 seconds. Okay, so as long as we can keep within that range, because we're organic beings, we're not robots, okay, we will get the effect of the Balarama. Let's take a look. So here on the board I have Balarama, and then it's excellent for It's excellent for strengthening the body. Okay, so strengthening the body's cellular tissues. Okay, which allows the organs and the muscles and everything to become stronger as well, to serve the soul, the heart's desire, which is the soul. Okay, so we hear that. We hear the rhythm. And 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Okay, so when it goes that high pitch, that's where you're actually bringing up the number 3 part. Okay, so remember, the 1 is the pelvic floor, 2 is the lower abdominis, and then 3 is the upper abdominis. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and okay, so I hope you saw that. Okay, you can do those using as many repetitions as you can, but know that the holds are very important by virtue of the holds being the mechanism by which you actually are compressing the oxygen into the system. You're actually replenishing, you're actually upping the oxygen content in your system. And then when you breathe in out, that's the CO2 and oxygen going out, but you have more oxygen going in. This is what's going to keep you from having the light head as you go up the tree. Okay, some people get it straight away from the bottom if they don't hold, or if they don't include that hold. They're just letting air in and out without having control of it. They're thinking they have control because it completes a circuit, but it's not being captured. You have to capture the oxygen, which is charged with the luminous information. Okay, the bioelectric magnetic information. Okay, because our bodies are composed of the water as well, so it would be a nice exchange of energy, which becomes integrated into your system. Okay, the light and the sound system of your body. Okay, all right, so Balarama, I'm going to let you know about Balarama. See, although we're sitting, okay, we can apply these while we're doing our routine day-to-day activities, okay, because we're still in the earth realm. We're in the earthly realm of the tree of life. Okay, remember, everything from Heru down has to do with the earthly experience of physicality. So whatever we're doing, it could be exercising. And Balarama is perfect when you're going on walks. You want to keep that pace. 1 and 2 and it's like marching. If you've ever been in the military, you can start it off with your left, left, right, left, right, left, right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and okay. So when you're doing your walk or what have you, you'll be having that same breath that we're doing here while seated. Okay, so that's the beauty of Balarama, and you will find out quickly. Okay, if you have any experience with doing yoga or meditative practice, that's the pranayama. You will find that when you're doing the activity of walking, it's your breath that's actually empowering your walk. It's not even your muscles anymore. Your breath, the rhythm of the breath is actually empowering your body to move forward. And you can actually go extreme distances without getting tired when doing that. I did that. I experienced that for a whole week on last week. And it's like, man, this is amazing stuff. Okay. So I'm really happy to be able to share this and share your experiences as well with the physical and the mental, intellectual benefits that you get. Always remember to keep the body clean. Make sure you're eating more living than dead matter. Um, it's always better to have living food, the vegetables, because the exchange of energy is pretty phenomenal. Cooking your vegetables actually makes it such that you have to digest the fibers um, more, and you have less energy to digest. And so, even though it's no meat, um, the fibers and whatever waste that is left over, it stays in the colon for a longer period of time, and you find yourself getting sleepy very quickly. Okay, that's my experience, and I can say that when I was sensitive enough to take note of that and started applying more raw and juicing, more raw foods and juicing, that upped my energy so much more, and I didn't have to take as many take as many breaks to rest. Um, it was just great. It was just really great. So I want to keep us moving. Okay, so that was Balarama. You can do that on your morning walks at the park. You can take in that great fresh prana and feel the effects of the body get stronger. Okay, that's the Hercules. That's what they call the Hindu Hercules um, uh, meditation. Okay, yogic exercise. Okay, the next one is japa. Japa. We're going over japa, which is the intellectual mind over matter. Um, this is where you perform repeated mantras or repeated sayings that have meaning to you as far as what you're wanting to become, what you're wanting to manifest as a natural being that creates the reality. So if you have a mantra like I am great, or I am let's make something more practical. I am organized. You know, if you want to put that in there some kind of way so that you feel good when you're doing your the the compressions, the abdominal compressions, then you'll feel it. It becomes a feeling then. Okay. Now realize something here, and we're going to bring in some of the geometry so that you can know what I'm talking about. Okay, you see this five-pointed star. Okay, if we were to go to the notes like we covered on last episode, this has to do with the whole note C. Okay, so if we played the whole note C and its reverberations came all the way down, and we started looking at the note, the E note. That's the note that is the fifth division. Okay, in music, it is said that the fifth division is the emotional division. See, and this is how you're able to affect the soul or grow the soul. The soul responds to emotion. And if you are programming the soul with positive, beneficial affirmations, then your soul is going to grow the more you apply it. You know, if you're able to meditate day and night, as in Psalm 1, then you will be like the tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth its fruit in its season. Okay, etc., etc. All right. So this is how the rubber meets the road. All right. And I haven't even gotten into all of the math yet. I mean, Last episode we did get into the math, but I wanted to show you a little bit of how the divisions of the sound, you know, which was demonstrated by the fifth, or the five-pointed star, geometry of the five-pointed star, which is man, the head, two arms, two legs, um, translates into the emotional being, the one that is moved um, by feeling. Okay, and we can direct those feelings ourselves. Turn off the TV. Okay, somebody else is directing the feelings that way. Um, try, you know, try creating your own movie in your mind, and write the script as well. We have to do a lot better. I mean, to make ourselves the beings that we need to be. Okay, so let's see. So yes, this is establishing um, frequencies, establishing patterns, establishing habits. That's the japa. All right, that's about 7.5 breaths per minute. Okay, Balarama is 9 breaths per minute, by the way. Say 3 in, 3 out. Japa is 7.5 breaths per minute, which is 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Okay. All right, that's how that works. Okay. The next one is Dwapara, and we're going to see how that works. We're going to hear the sound. Dwapara is the copper age. Okay, that's in the that's the higher regions on the tree. That's like okay, that's a step above japa, being that japa is for the programming of the body, the mind and body, but Dwapara is actually absorbing information from your surroundings and actually being able to understand the applications. Okay, so if you have materials, let's see, Dwapara, it enhances abilities to learn material facts. Okay, so we've been fooled for so long about what the reality or what the actuality of the world or the realm that we live in. But once we go through the processes, a lot of the actualities will unfold for us, and we won't need anybody to tell us what is factual and what is not. We become the fact. Okay, and we can actually know within the what, the why, the where, the when, okay, and all of that, because we would become a part of those facts. We'd actually experience the frequencies of those facts within ourselves, within our being, okay? This is how deep this goes. And once you become an adept at the practice of this, the actual doing of this, then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of the things concerning the earth realm makes so much sense now. I can apply math to it, and you're in for a treat before this is over with. You're in for a treat, and you can test it for yourself. All right, so we're going up to Dwapara, which is the Copper Age. Okay, that's 864,000 years. Okay, a note with those numbers, those great numbers. Those numbers were made so great to throw a lot of the lay people off, so that during that time when people were, when the elites were practicing the techniques, they would have the benefit. They would be the only ones to have those benefits um, of that time. Okay, and so it's much like what NASA would do um, with the um, precessional cycle. Okay, precessional cycle would be um, let's see, would be 25,920 years. They would say, well, precession is about 26,000 years. Okay, but you can't do anything with that. You can't associate or connect the dots with that particular number. You can't just round things and then be able to apply it so that it can be useful or so that you can relate to other time periods. Okay, this is why the numbers are so important. This is why math is important. When you do 25,920 years, you can find out, the connection with the Maha Yuga or the Great Cycle or the Krita Yuga, because those numbers have relationships, and this is what makes the four ages that are in the Hindi myth so great. Okay, because we can apply it by the things that we know in science. Okay, the numbers that we know, we can put them one to one, and we can watch it unfold in nature. All right, so Dwapara. Okay, 6 breaths per minute, 5 seconds, and this for the ability to learn material facts. And this is what it sounds like. Dwapara Yuga. One and two and three and four and five and six and seven and eight and nine and 10 and 11. There we go. 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. All right. So let's try that. That's five in, 5 out for 6 breaths per minute. Okay. So let's do the demonstration here. So you can observe that we're getting more, the breath is becoming more volumized, which means we're getting more in, we're getting more information in, which corresponds to the level of consciousness that we can garner as we move up the tree. Okay, so that was 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, but actually it was more or less, I'm going to use the visual here. The visual here to kind of demonstrate. So we have like 5 seconds. Instead of doing 5 here, we can cut it short, and we can actually inhale and hold at 4, or actually raise it at 4, and then hold at 5, 6, or 5, and then exhale 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then start again. So when we start on the inhale, the inhale is a relaxation. The inhale is a relaxation that happens, like, instead of you trying to breathe in, which requires energy to do. Instead of you trying to force air in, what you're doing is just relaxing. And that relaxation allows you to save energy. And that keeps you from having a light head. Okay? And once you get to a point where the air isn't coming in naturally, then you can use a little bit of a nudge to bring in more air. And that nudge is just pushing your belly out. Okay? And so once you get that air at that particular moment where you need to bring up the pelvic floor and then push in the abdominals to create the pressure, and then you want to release. Okay, so that's the on the way down the Om cycle. Okay, so that's why I'm using the Om, because we know we associate that with the meditation and the sound of unity that we're going for whenever we practice spirituality. So where there is disunity, we're going to bring unity through um, reinforcing our goal using visuals. Okay, Om. Okay, Om. The visual of Om is unity, completion of the circuit. Okay, and eventually we will get up to the 1 breath per minute, and I'm going to demonstrate those higher levels for you here so that you can see that I actually do this. And there was a time where coherence was not my capacity, and there are people that probably are watching now that remember the time where I couldn't hold a memory, or I couldn't hold instructions to do things one thing at a time. But I had to do some preliminary things. I had to clean my diet up. I had to once I got to the max of that, then it's like, okay, what else do I need to do to master my mind, or to be able to get control of my body? And so what that entailed was actually tonifying the nervous system. Okay, there are other ways that you can do it. There's more than one way, especially if you need to get up to speed quickly. Okay, and this is where utilizing modern technology is a benefit. Okay, modern technology is a tool. It's like any hammer. It's how you use the hammer. Okay, do you use it to destroy, or do you use it to build? Okay, I had the great opportunity of utilizing that technology to build structures that actually worked to balance the frequencies. I grew new neural pathways, and then once I established those pathways, I was able to do the practices that I had learned over the years through this the Sciere Society. Okay, some of these techniques I've actually been able to adjust and modify to make sure that it is totally in harmony with my vessel. Okay, so you'll find that you may have to do that as well, because every vessel is unique, and we have different capacities. You know, especially when we're coming up in age. Okay, when we're coming of age. All right, so that was the Dwapara Yuga, and the next one is the Treta, or the Silver Age, Treta Yuga, which is 1,296,000 years. Wow. Now, there's no way a human being can measure those vast amounts of time. Okay, but we already went over that. So the Treta is about 4.5 breaths per minute, which equates to 6 seconds in and 6 seconds out. Okay, so we're gonna hear how that sounds in our library. Song library, going to Treta. That's the exhale. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and exhale. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so you kind of hear how that sounds. I made it so that the cues of when you're at the very middle, when you're able to get that third, that 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the upper abdominal push. That's the in push. What that does, the higher you get on the tree, you'll start feeling you'll feel the pressure, but it starts to focus here, and that sends an impulse. Whenever you do that, let me see if I can show you here. Show you clearly what's going on. Okay, turn to the side. Okay, so when you say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, see that high pitch sound? Okay, what that does when you're bringing that muscle up, it sends a signal all the way up, and it sends it all the way to the center of the cerebral cortex, and inside the midbrain as well. You'll feel the pressure, and it will feel like that cobra, that they show on the Uranus, the crown. It's like that cobra, and so it's actually activating that part of your brain, the executive faculty, that faculty of projection. Okay, so you have the power of projection. All right, so there are so many things I have to share with you. It's amazing how the body is put together so that you can accomplish whatever you will, but as long as the will is not destroyed, you can accomplish what you will, no matter what your lot in life has been. Okay, so let's do a demonstration of that. Let's do a couple of rounds of that so you can see how it's done. Okay, this is Treta Yuga, the silver age of the Yuga cycle. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and exhale. 3, 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and exhale. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You see how that works? So that's how we do that. Okay, and of course, what that does when you're into that rhythm over a matter of maybe, I don't know, maybe 18 repetitions of that, then you'll start opening parts of your capacity to understand spiritual truths. Okay, so certain things about the Bible, if you read the Bible, you'll start understanding the esoteric meanings of them naturally. You don't have to necessarily have somebody to tell you, but what will happen, and this has happened to me on numerous occasions, is you'll start having certain ideas and certain words will kind of hit you in a certain kind of way, and it's like, oh, I wonder if that's what that means. I'm getting another picture here. Whenever you read the Bible, you'll start having those things, and then at some point you'll want to get confirmation. And then that's when you start your journey of going about and finding, corroboration. It's like, well, this is what I feel. And then you come across some information that actually confirms it for you. And then you go and test it for yourself. Okay? So this is the process of growth. And this is how it's happened for many of us. And it can happen very quickly if your body is already in tune. Fortunately for me, I had gotten sick early. My health had declined, and because of that, I was given a choice: stop eating meat or continue with your decline. And so I chose to live, and I got better ever since, incrementally. Okay, but that's a whole nother story. You probably have to read the book. But yes, that was the treetop, Silver Age. So understanding of spiritual truths. That's where you're able to make them comprehensible. Next stage is the Satya or Krita, Golden Age. That is your 3 breaths per minute. Okay, that's your 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out. All right, 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out. And here's what it does. This activates the power to manifest those spiritual truths. Okay, manifest your highest desire. Okay, so if you want to become a master, you can become a master at whatever. Okay, so it's just about you putting forth the effort, cleaning yourself up, getting used to your body, finding out what it feels like to do certain breaths, certain holds, certain exercises with the abdominal. Okay, this is what it is to be at the stage of Heru. Heru is the ab stage, and what we've been doing so far is the exercise of the abdominal regions. Okay, the abdominal regions have direct contact as far as pressure with the neural ganglia that's at certain sections of the spine. Okay, let's take a look. All right, let's see if I can bring that closer. All right, you can probably see I have representations of neural ganglia coming off of the vertebra in pink to the chakra energy systems. Bring it close a little bit more so that you can see it. All right, you may be able to see it now. I can see it. All right, so that's what's going on when we do the exercises, the pranayama. That's the holding or the binding of the air. We're creating the impedance, which is the transfer of energy and the energizing of the tissue themselves, so that they can retain the energy that's passing through them and activate themselves. This is what invigorates the cellular structures and the blood. All right, so yeah, this is fun stuff. I just feel so great being able to share this. I mean, it's better than doing the meditation sometimes, because the meditation has tremendous benefits, but to be able to share the knowledge, and I know that somebody's going to come away with something, just by me sharing this. And we're nowhere near the end of this installment. I'm just going to continue all the way up to the top of the tree so that you know what it looks like, and you know how to program your metronome. Be sure and get with me. Give me your information as far as being able to talk you through putting in the proper numbers so that you can set up a training app for yourself. Okay, this will help you be able to get within that range so that you can start doing your meditative counts. And know this, that when you're within the meditative practice, you will be counting with your mind, in the beginnings. And the thing about that is, counting, it stops the mind from chattering and thinking of other things that are unrelated to what's at hand at the moment. When you're going into meditation, you're going into meditation with the intentions of extracting a certain level of consciousness, okay, and applying it to yourself, okay, or becoming one with that frequency, okay, merging that frequency so that it grows the soul, and the soul conducts that frequency on demand. All right, so we got to the Satya. Okay, that's the 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out, total of 3 seconds or 3 breaths per minute. Now remember, I said that all 4 of the Yugas, the Kali, Dwapara, Treta, Satya Yuga, when you Combine all of those years that they have represented, they total up to 4,320,000 years. Okay, so that number 4320 is the one that you really need to know, because that is a harmonic, okay, that joins the human breath with the musical notes or the sounds, which also connects with the cycles, the macrocosmic cycles, and it puts you in harmony with nature itself. Okay, this is amazing. This is amazing. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna see if we could do if I can probably set it up so that you can at least see the one breath per minute. But you're gonna actually be looking at me. I'm gonna see if I can set this up so you can see me and the time. I need another way of doing this, because I don't have the the Maha Yuga. I only did the four yugas, but the Maha Yuga is going to be 60 seconds long. So that means I'll be breathing in for for my purpose. This is how I've become able or capable of doing the Maha Yuga. I was able to breathe in approximately 35 to 38 seconds, and then raise everything up, and then hold for 10 seconds. So inhale for 35 seconds, raise everything up until 40 seconds, and then hold the breath for 10 more seconds. And when I get to 50, then I'm relaxing or releasing. And that release allows me to coast right into 60 seconds. Okay? And once I get to the base of that, depending on what I had to eat that day, I may not be able to go back to back and do that same thing without taking about 3 or 4 short breaths, and then continuing at about the 5th second to continue on up in the inhale. So in essence, I'll go all the way around, come to 60, and then I say, and then 5. That would take about 5 seconds, 6 and 7, all the way up, and then I repeat those holds all the way, and then release again, 60 seconds. And then by maybe the second or third time, I won't have to do those small breaths anymore, because I would have built up the capacity. All right, so this is just something to know. And I don't get lightheaded. That's the thing. Always do your compressions. Make sure that those compressions are gentle enough, but strong enough so that you can actually feel comfortable. Okay, it's one of those things that you're going to have to work out over time, but it's nothing like your own experience to find out what your limitations are, and then set your goals from there to say, okay, I wasn't able to get to 50, but this is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to do my satya until I can work up to getting to 50, and then finally to 60, So it took me a minute. It took me a while to get to the Mahayuga, and to do completions, maybe up to 3 repetitions, back to back. But other than that, I mean, it was tough getting there. But once I got there, it became easy. Once I did it, it was like easy then. So this is something to look forward to. And once you get into the state of trance in the Mahayuga, then a lot of things become realized for you. You become able to, I mean, it's like you get younger, and your mind becomes clearer. A lot of things that you're going for, if you're trying to achieve something, it becomes easier. Okay, so these are things to look forward to. Hit me up in the in the comments, or in the comment section on YouTube and on Facebook. Okay, so there was something else I wanted to show you that was a treat. Okay, remember I was talking about geometry, and I'm going to pull this up so that we can take a look at it, because if you're not talking math, you're saying a whole bunch of nothing. Okay, when you're talking about science, okay, all right, and when you're talking about the earth and anything that's having to do with our actuality that we live in, the earth realm. Okay, so this particular chart I created so that it can become more sensible. Okay, let me get some of these glares off the board here. Hopefully that helped it a little bit. Maybe not. But let me see. Maybe if I do something like this. Anyway, we're going to continue. We'll just move it over left or right just so you can see what the numbers are, something like that. Yeah, because we got to get into this. All right, so I have the treats here. Let me get that. I'm just going to set this down right here so that we can see what we're talking about. Okay. All right, so angle some things here, get the microphone out the way. All right. Okay. Pointer. All right, so remember when we were talking about frequencies, I was describing frequencies as the cosmic circuits that translate into rhythmic beats, pulses, rhythmic breaths, and vibrations, which translate into sound and light. Here I have light, and then here I have sound. So light, underneath light, would be corresponding to the spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum that is that permeates all of our creation here. We see it as the rainbow out in the atmosphere, and it manifests itself much in the same manner as though our body is the prism, the light prism that is divided into its respective units to make physical matter function according to its nature. Okay, so we can also look at the structure, form and function. Okay, form and function. Remember, just like the earth, which is the macrocosm, as above, so below. Okay, the microcosm being our human bodies, our physical body, is the below. And so we know that there is a firmament. Okay, there is a a tent. Okay, and as we can look on here with what we call the Paut Neteru, the tree of life, there are 10 spheres. Most of the center ones are the combinations of the two when you bring them together. Okay, so but when we have them divided into their left and right, or their benign or benevolent and severe states, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10, we have tent, okay? And when we do the raising of the Jedi, or the lifting of the fluids within our system, that's giving back a tenth, or called tithing. Okay, that's what we're literally doing every day when we meditate day and night. We're giving a tenth of the fluids that we produce in our glandular system back to the cerebral cerebrospinal complex that's in the center of the head. Okay, so just giving you a connectivity of the language and the concepts of tithing, 10, also the how it's described in the Bible as the firmament that's stretched out like a tent. Okay, so when we look at the base of this, we have the earth. All right, so we're going to bring in some geometry and we're going to bring in some math here. Okay, so that you can see what this treat is all about that I'm talking about here. Okay, so here we have at this level, the G level. Okay, and these are some things that come to me when I do these meditations. This G level corresponds to our earth chakra, right? Okay, so you guys probably seen where I'm going here. There's 12 divisions here. Okay, and as you go up the tree, the divisions become less and less until it becomes whole up here at the top. So as that sound, see, all things are composed of frequencies or sounds. Okay, so we have, you know, the divisions as they go further down. You have the most divisions here at the root chakra, which are 12. Now, if we look at physiology and the physical systems of our bodies, we notice that there are 12s. You know, we have in our earth realm, we have 12 hours. We have 12 hours of the day, 12 hours of the night. Are as above, and as below we have the 12 the 12 cranial nerves. We have the 12 systems of the body. Okay, so we're starting to see patterns here, and this is how you know truth when you begin to apply it. Okay, if we didn't apply it, we wouldn't know this. Okay, that's the only way I know it, is I had to apply it. You know, it made great sense when I first heard it, but when I started doing it, that's when I knew. Okay, this is called knowing. This is where you get knowledge, by doing things. You know, doing the proper experimentation and then incorporating it as a part of your life. Okay, so here we have degrees. All right, so we're going. This is where geometry comes into play, and mathematics and geometry. We have degrees. Okay, so remember at the G part of our body, the microcosm, and then the macrocosm of the earth. Okay, we have 12 signs of the zodiac. Okay, each sign, when it's divided into 12 divisions, you have 30 degrees. Wow. Okay, you see how that works? We have 30 degrees. So there's your zodiac wheel right there. Zodiac and zoo, okay, have to do with animals. Okay, and these animals correspond to our personality traits. Now, if you think that I may be in error about observing the zodiac and seeing, you know, how people act and react in certain situations, if you have family members, I would like you to observe their behaviors and think about when you grew up with them, and then go over their birthdays. This book is called Taoist Astrology, and this book actually deals with the year that you're born, and it can give you more information than most other systems of astrology. Okay, that's just one aspect, though. If we can go to another book that I have and we combine the two, see, the other book I have has to do with the month you were born in. Okay, so I can use that one and I can use this one, because what's going on when I'm finding out about the nature of humanity and the nature of actually all living things is that um, we are all expressions of the cosmic breath, the first cosmic breath that we took in when we were born. Wherever those celestial lights were in the sky, relative to our place on Earth, okay, on the Earth plane, that's the kind of personality or energy that we took on, okay, that permeated into our physiology. And so we act out in accordance to those types of natal personalities, okay. These are archetypal personalities, okay. We're supposed to go through these things so that we can work it out as we raise the Djed of the tree. And soon you will find that once you cross the level of Heru, okay, you begin to lose the animal natal personality of the zodiac. You don't lose it all the way. This is what makes you unique as a source creator. You actually get to involve yourself within the very creation itself, and watch yourself develop from the realms of animal consciousness into states of God consciousness. All right, so here we are presenting truth utilizing mathematics, utilizing geometry. So let's take a look at these divisions a little closer here. All right, I have here geometry. Geo being earth, metry being measure. All right. Remember on the tree over here, and I'm gonna come back to this. All right. Remember, I have these listed like that. We have the single point or the whole circle. Then we have the line. That's 180 degrees. Then that's the second or the half or the second division. We have the third division, which is 120 degrees. We have the 4 divisions, which is 90 degrees each. Okay. Fifth, 72 degrees. Sixth division, 60 degrees. And of course, the 12th division. 12th division. See, this is Earth right here. This is your zodiac wheel, and everything 12 that happens here on Earth. All right. I told you this was going to be a treat, huh? But I'm not even there yet. All right, let's get back here so we can see how this works with mathematics. Okay. And if you know how to count, this is undeniable. Okay. If you know how to count and you're not too indoctrinated, this will become all too clear to you as far as what the nature of our actuality is. See, there's a sneaky saying that says perception is reality. So in essence, what's being communicated is that as long as we can dress up the perception of a thing or of a phenomena, that would be the prevailing reality for all who witness, that phenomena, that are not conscious, that are not, as I can say, deliberately conscious. Okay. Now, what I mean by deliberately conscious is knowing that, hey, there are aspects of my knowledge, there are aspects of my capacity that I still have yet to achieve, because I have shortcomings. See, and a lot of this has to do with humility. In order for you to gain consciousness, you have to be humble. Okay, you have to acknowledge your limitations. You have to come to terms with your natal personality, those archonic personalities, and make it a part of your endeavor to overcome them. All right, so that's the approach that we need to take. Okay, and so for anyone in a religious or a black consciousness movement, you have to come to terms with, am I truly humble? Am I being truthful to myself? Am I using basic mathematics to test my environment? And when I find what the math shows, am I going to accept it? Or am I going to run back to what's familiar, what's been taught to me, what's been handed to me, and that what made me comfortable? We are entering, or we have entered into an age where comforts of delusion have to go the way of the dinosaur, which didn't exist anyway. Okay, we have to be truthful here. Okay, as long as we can be honest and truthful to ourselves, to thine own self be true, then you've made a quantum leap. You've made a quantum leap indeed. Okay, so let's look at some of these degrees and how these geometric forms, these geometric shapes take place. Okay, so remember that one? That's your whole. Okay, that's your one radius. Okay, that could be utilized as the sun glyph as well. Okay, we have the half, we have the third, so we can create geometric forms from these. That's the triangle. That's the third division. We have four division. We have the diamond or the square. Now you see where I'm going. Here comes the treat, y'all. There's the diamond and there's the square. Okay, we have the fifth division. We see the 5-pointed star with the 72 degrees in between, and we have the pentagram. Aha. Okay, we have the pentagram here, and we have the pentagon here. Okay, see how that works? Sixth division of the whole. All right, sixth division of the realm. Here we go. We have the hexagram. That's the six-sided geometric form, and we have the what's known as the Star of David, Star of Dawood. That's the 6-pointed star. Okay, and then we have the 12. Okay, we have the 12 spokes that we all know of, depicted on our chronographs, our watches. You know, this is your timepiece. So we are within a system where we keep track of moments by marking certain events, okay, from this point to this point as being a unit of time, okay? And each unit of time has its unit of energy, or its blends of energy, or its energetic complexes, depending on what cycle it's in, okay? And we can see that you can superimpose approximately 4 of those triangles to connect to all of those spokes. All right, so we're looking at that. So what is this treat that we're talking about here? Okay, if we're dealing with geometry, okay, what can you do on a ball Earth? Can you make accurate geometric projections on a ball Earth? Absolutely not. Okay, no matter what size it is, you can't make any geometric projections. You cannot do navigation accurately. Okay, you can't do ballistic training. You can't do ballistic. You can't do ballistic. What would you call it? Trajectories and interfacing on a globe. There are too many parameters that have to be considered. But check this out. Let's say equidistant azimuthal projection. This is something that came to me. Okay, if we were to go online and print up the equidistant azimuthal projection map, and then by using one of these, this would be a square, a 90-degree angle, and you can use one of these. I had one of these laying around. It's like, maybe I can work out something here, okay? Because I've been shown these geometric forms. We can apply this to this. We can't apply that to the globe, okay? Let's take a look at what I found here. All right, so I went to the 4th division. I didn't do the third yet, but I can do the third a little bit later, and we can talk about that on a live panel or something like that. But what I did look up was the square, and we always hear something about the square. And so I went into my meditations, came out, and somehow that that my subconscious was at work. It was always at work on that square. Where do you apply it? How do you do it? Okay, how I did this was I had to remember that there has to be a point of reference somewhere. And that point of reference was the meridian, the Greenwich Mean Time meridian that runs through Greenwich, England. And that section is where I drew my line. Okay, so if you're able to go online and print this out in full color, you'll see that this line, this Greenwich Mean Time line, is going to be of a reddish color. And so I just traced that all the way up to the top and just made my measurements. See, here's this applied mathematics. See, you can't do this on a globe. All right? This is why I don't get into those long-winded debates, dealing with resistant people and trolls, because I want to find the solution. I don't have time. None of us have time to be arguing about something and holding on to things because you want them to be the way they were nostalgically, when back in the good old days. Okay, we got to let those schools of thought go. All right, so we have that. We have those. Okay, so if we were to make our measures, our equidistant measure with the 12 spokes, we go 30 degrees. Every 30 degrees we would go from the meridian. And so let's see, every 15 degrees actually. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 72, and 90 degrees. That would be your first point from the 12 o'clock position. You draw your line, boom, and then you go down to your 6 o'clock position. That'll be your next line. You go from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock back to your 12 o'clock position. That's your square. And guess what I find when I square this circle? I find that every landmass, every continental landmass, including its surrounding islands, are encompassed. Okay? So everything is claimed. And this is where you can get your net. You can actually put a grid system on there, and you can know what quadrant, 4 corners of the earth, according to your observable experiment here. Things start to make sense then. Okay? So I'm really curious now as far as what I missed when I didn't do my triangle here, do my third division. But I'll do that as well, and I'm going to find out what I see. Okay, but what I did find out about the square was that all land masses, all continental land masses, including their islands, were totally encompassed. And so we can throw a chess board grid on this, divide it up into 64 parts, and we can have a game of chess, So this is where we're talking about squaring the circle. I didn't have to join any lodges to figure this out. Didn't have to make any oaths or swearing ins and any of that. See, this is what happens when you're practicing, your ancestral science, your ancient cosmology. Okay, you start beginning to recognize your mother, and you can reclaim your mother. Okay, this is what some of the Moors were talking about, as far as not having, or not claiming your mother, or not claiming your own mother. It's not that you don't know the lineage of your bloodline. It's the fact that you are an earth being, and you are the indigenous of the earth. Okay, and if you don't claim your indigenous status as a living, breathing earth man or earth woman, if you want to put gender in there, because woman is the original man. Let's get that straight. Okay, so if you want to claim your status as a living, breathing entity on the earth, then you need to know your science. You need to be able to apply the math. Okay, so if you're not talking math, you're not saying anything. All right, let's move forward. Okay, so that's the square. That's at 90 degrees. See, I'm using mathematical numbers. 90 degrees. We have 4 corners of the earth. We've squared the circle. All right. Fifth division. All right, that's the pentagram. So pentagram would start off at your 12 o'clock position, and you would go all the way to your 72-degree line. Okay, that's where you would make your cross, your top part of your the arms that are going out. That's the part that you're going to draw all the way across. Okay, and then you would draw your next for your pentagram. Okay, you go from 12 to 5. You make that line, and you go from 5 to the 72 line mark that you just drew across. You make that join, and you go from your 12 o'clock all the way down to the 7 o'clock. You make that line, and then you go all the way back up to the 72. And that's your pentagram. Okay. Now, what are we observing with this pentagram? We're looking at the heart of the pentagram, which is the total, which is the Tropic of Cancer. Everything that is on the Tropic of Cancer. Wow. See, this is the area where the best life can happen up in here. We know that life can happen further out, but this is where most of the energy is of the North Pole. So anything beyond the Tropic of Cancer, you know, you're starting to lose that North Polar influence, that energetic influence. And the closer you get, the more influence you have. Okay? Although certain regions are colder, but you want to be in that Goldilocks zone somewhere in the northern hemisphere, doing your thing in the regions just above the Tropic of Cancer. All right, so you got to try this. Okay, print this baby up, start doing your math. If you ain't doing the math, you ain't saying nothing. All right, so let's go here to the 6th division. Okay, your hexagram. All right, so how I drew that out. All right, so I had to draw from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock back to 12. That's my upright triangle. And then my inverted triangle from 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. What do we find? Okay, I'll tell you, and then you can proof it for yourself. All right, so on these, what I'm looking for is the hexagram. That's the center where, when we draw the inverted circle, when we draw the inverted triangle with the upright triangle, is the middle. It's the part where things come forward from. Okay, if I draw a line around that area, that would be the line, the tangent. It would actually touch the tangent of the equator itself. All right, so sexagram or hexagram is everything from the equator all the way to the North Pole. All right, wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. I can't wait to do that third part. Okay, and of course the 12, the 12 spokes. Of course, if I did all of that, that of course would would encompass a lot more things. And what what I am suspecting, and this is just a speculation of mine, it's not a fact, but these are the intuitive things that come to me, and this is how I came to this. My speculation is that at some point we would start seeing um, remnants of the ley lines, that run through England, that run through some of the Peruvian lands, the Nazca lines, things like that. So it's something to kind of consider, and we also have to remember that the Greenwich Mean Time is a recent phenomena. There used to be a mean line going through Cairo, Egypt, as well. So those are some more researchable probabilities, and you may need a computer to do that so that you can rotate your hexagrams, your squares, your triangles, and so forth to see where these things actually lie on the earth itself. So that was the treat. That was the treat. And this actually shows that when you use math, math is something that is the balance. Okay, if you have a question, there's an answer. You know, there's a cause, there's an effect. So this shows that there's balance to everything. And when there's no balance, there's chaos, there's fear. There are unanswered questions, and there's just mayhem everywhere. So we're here to correct that. Even entering into the times of tribulation, we're going to make sure that we are able to have correct footing. And yeah, we'll bring the Creator, the God consciousness will walk among man once again in great numbers. All right. Thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to your comments. If you're not doing the math, you're not saying anything. So all debate should be done. Um, if you're gonna try to persist in debating, you better come with some math. All right. Thank you again, and boy, my heart feels great. All right. Take care, you all.